Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next class of the 17 time periods. The last class Jessica taught, and she was talking about the judges and how the Israelites followed a pattern or a cycle of times where they would follow God and of times where they would make a lot of mistakes and sin, and God would send someone to deliver them, one of the judges, and how that cycle kept repeating itself. Today's is we're going to talk about the United Kingdom. The hand motion for the United Kingdom is you make a fist with one hand, a fist with your other hand, and you put them together to show that they're united. United means that they're together as one in this case. So the United Kingdom. So the period of the United Kingdom it's after the judges, where the judges have been who God has given the Israelites to help get them back on the right track. So in this story, how I want to start out is by reading a section of scripture. So one of the scriptures that I want to read today is 1 Samuel chapter 8, and I'm going to be reading verses 4 through 7 and then verse 9 as well. And this kind of gets us started with our lesson today. Let me get back to it. Starting in verse 4. Finally, all the elders of Israel met at Ramah to discuss the matter with Samuel. Look, they told him, you are now old, and your sons are not like you. Give us a king to judge us like all the other nations have. Samuel was displeased with their request and went to the Lord for guidance. Do everything they say to you, the Lord replied, for they are rejecting me, not you. They don't want me to be their king any longer. Skipping to verse 9, it says, do as they ask, but solemnly warn them about the way a king will reign over them. So that's the first section to introduce a couple of our vocabulary words. So as I already talked about, united means together as one. So right now, Israel is united. The next word, in the version I read from, it used the word reign. Another word that you can use is rule. So they asked for a king to rule over them or reign over them. That means they wanted a king to be their leader, a king to be the person who made the decisions for them and told them what to do. Now, Samuel was the judge at that time, and Samuel felt really pretty sad about this. So in those verses, Samuel went to the Lord and just asked for God's help and said, what do I do? The people are asking for a king because they said, give us a king just like everyone else does in the land. And God said, what they're wanting is not me as God to lead them anymore. They're wanting someone else, someone human. They're not going against you, Samuel. They're going against me as God. So he said, go ahead and do that for them, but just warn them about all the things that would happen. So Samuel did go back to the Israelites and talked to them and said, here's some of the things that will happen if you decide to go ahead and get a king, and talked about how some of their sons and daughters would become workers who the king would be using, how just to use the same word that Jessica used from the last class, at times how oppressive it could be, where it just wasn't necessarily a healthy relationship is the best way I can word it. So the people, even though they heard all these things, decided that what was most important to them was looking like all the other nations and people that were around them. So the Lord went ahead and gave them a king. The first three kings were part of the United Kingdom. The first king was Saul, and he was the son of Kish. Then it was going to be David. He was the second king, and he was the son of Jesse. And then Solomon was his son. Now, what's interesting about the second king, David, is that there was a promise made to David and his family, and really to us as well, that Jesus would come through the family of David. Now, that would be many, many years down the road, but I just want you to keep that in mind because David's name is going to be mentioned a lot throughout Scripture. And that promise is super important as we continue on as well. So As we continue to talk a little bit about the kings, I do have a couple of songs for you. One of them is about how to remember the first three kings. So it goes like this. I always have to think of how it starts. These are the kings, the first three kings of Israel: Saul the son of Kish, and David the son of Jesse, and Solomon David's son. The first three kings of Israel, the first three kings of Israel. I'm going to do it one more time because I learned this song many, many years ago, probably when I was about the age of a lot of you that are watching. And it's always helped me to remember the kings of the United Kingdom. So one more time, it goes, these are the kings, the first three kings of Israel: Saul the son of Kish, and David the son of Jesse, and Solomon David's son. The first three kings of Israel, the first three kings of Israel. And remember, that second king, David, that is the one where Jesus is going to come from many years from now. So one thing that's just really important about that United Kingdom is to know that even after God had sent the judges, like the last lesson Jessica talked about, to save them over and over again from that pattern where they just kept falling back into sin, even after so many of the judges that God had given them, the people still made some mistakes. They still were looking at others around them and were more influenced by those other people than really they were about the people. Sorry, Finley was getting into something. They were more interested about the people around them than they were about how God felt about them. That's where I was going with that. Jessica shared a song with me that is called Give Us a King. It's to the tune of Trust and Obey. This was a newer song to me. I'm going to do just the first couple of verses. There are 5 verses to this song, and I really loved the way it talked about the time of the United Kingdom. But because it's longer, I'm going to just do the first couple of verses today. I may make some oopses along the way. This song is new to me. I have the words pulled up on the page. That way I can make sure that I remember it correctly, but I may make some oopses along the way. But I hope that as you watch and perhaps even rewind this video, that you'll learn some of those words too. All the judges were gone. Samuel was the last one, and he walked with the Lord every day. But the Israelites said, give us kings now instead. Other nations can show us the way. Give us a king. He will do everything, will be like all the others. So just give us a king. That was not how the end goes. That's okay, I'm gonna push through. Now the Lord was their king, and he did everything to fight battles and give them the land. But a new king will take sons and daughters and make them to follow his every command. Give us a king, he will do everything, will be like all the others. So just give us a king. And remember that the United Kingdom, the 3 kings that we're talking about today, the hand motion, I should say again, is the 2 fists put together. United means as one. And then the 3 kings are Saul the son of Kish, David the son of Jesse, that's who Jesus would come through, and Solomon, which was one of David's sons. I hope that you will tune in next time for another 17 time periods Bible class as we learn about the divided kingdom. But thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye, guys.